Focus, determination, passion, stamina, and the will to win. The end result, the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Extreme Motorsports brings you the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, brought to you by Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment, and by Proforma, Elite Texas Graphics, live Mondays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
The Ricmotech GT Challenge presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics comes to a close tonight at the famous Road America circuit located in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Both championships have been wrapped up, but that doesn't mean we will see any less of exciting racing here tonight. Tyler Maxson in the commentary booth, and I am joined by Austin Knight. Austin, welcome back for the final round of the Ricmotech GT Challenge. Both of your championships have been wrapped up. Aeronominy and Gagon Renault have taken those, but the fights for second and really everything on back is still up for grabs in a lot of these categories, and this could be a very exciting final race here tonight.
It certainly is going to be a very exciting battle, especially in the GTLM class, because the final two podium positions are going up for grab, as well as the 5th place battle and the battle for 7th and 8th, and the final 2 spots in the top 10. All those spots are up for grab, and it's going to make for a exciting race here at Road America in the GTLM class.
Certainly is, and GTD as well, one of those classes that still has some positions up for grabs. But quickly, though, before we get started, let's go ahead and chuck it over to your track guide with Kevin Ford around the famous Road America circuit.
Welcome, everyone, to Road America, located here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this 4-mile road course known to some as the Nürburgring of America. When racing through the streets of Elkhart Lake became cumbersome in the early 1950s, highway engineer Cliff Tuff chose these 525 acres to build one of the most beautiful and challenging courses in road racing. The first event was won by Phil Hill on September 11th, 1955. 1 year later, the famous SCCA June Sprints were born. Well, let's begin our track guide around this beautiful road course as we head up the front straightaway out of the final corner. Very long straightaway, 4,400 feet. That's right, a lot of overtaking opportunities on this high-speed entry into Turn 1 as we approach the start-finish line. Yeah, you can see this incredible length as we're getting up to speeds of about 160, 170 mile an hour, breaking down into Turn 1 here. Pretty fast sweeping right-hander. Drivers come out of this corner very quickly and head straight down through Turn 2, then approaching Turn 3 here. Very tight right-hander that'll bring us out onto the second longest straightaway at Road America. Again, overtaking opportunities here as we come underneath the Sargento Bridge and head down to one of the toughest corners here at Road America, which is the heavy braking zone of Turn 5. Down through the gears, heavy on the brakes, coming into the entry here. Want to rotate right to the bottom, get a nice smooth exit as we come up into some of the tighter sections of the road course here. Under the bridge, into this next left-hander of 6. This will take us around to Turn 7, which is a fast entry, and down into Hurry Downs. Into Turn 8, Very tight left-hander, another heavy braking zone. Coming out of here, this will take us to the famous carousel. Another fast sweeping corner that just never seems to end. And as you come out of this, boy, you are going to be flying as you come down into the kink. Picking up some speed here. Very fast entry. Want to lift just a little bit here and come right back to throttle. Take that car right to the outside. Use up every bit of track as possible. Down through the short backstretch here, this brings us into the infamous Canada corner. Heavy braking zone once again, down into second gear. It's some good rotation coming up off the corner and into the very tight section of Bill Mitchell Bend. A couple of S's here, and then up into the final entry to turn 14. Coming out of 14, obviously you want to get a good launch here as it brings you out onto the big front straightaway, where all of the exciting action happens as drivers race down into turn 1 once again. Coming across the stripe here, there's your track guide for Road America. Thank you so much for being with us.
Welcome back. Thanks for that track guide, Kevin, here. For the final time this, and the final time that we'll see these cars out until the 16th of January in 2020. It feels weird to say that we're going to be back in about 30 or 31 days' time. We have a long time until the next season nonetheless, but we're here for the final time. Let's go ahead and take a look here at your championship standings as they come into the weekend. Aeronom has completely won the GTLM standings. He cannot be touched. Aeronom cannot even show up tonight, and he would still win the championship. But he has done just that, and he's gone on pole at the moment. Provisional pole, there's still 2 minutes left. But this is the battle that we got to focus on right here. William Laster, Mike Dam, and Caden Bien. These drivers right there are in the battle for second place. And really, at this point, it could come down to bonus points for these drivers and whether they will win the championship or not. It is a very, very close standings there. Then we'll jump over into your GTD championship. And that as well has been wrapped up. Ian Gagon Renault has been named your 2019 Series champion for the GTLM class. But then there's also a battle for second place between Tyler Shiflett and Brandon Misler in the Meth Motorsports cars there. So it's definitely still a good little battle that could happen there, depending on what goes on. So we'll have to wait and see how everything wraps up in those two classes. But Austin, Road America is a very challenging circuit. It's a nearly 2-minute lap time, and it has a lot of different corners that can really challenge drivers. And I've seen a lot of really, really good races come out of this place. And to do it for 90 minutes is definitely going to be tough.
Yeah, 90 minutes around here is going to be testing driver skill and patience as well as racecrafts. Because Road America, some people actually look down at this track, think it's not that hard of a challenge, but in a race situation, it can be the most challenging circuit of your life, because once you relax around this track, you could be caught out very easily as qualifying has just ended.
So qualifying has ended, and we have your grid here for you today. It is Aeronom who sits on the pole position for the final time this season. Mike Dam will start at a second. Caden Bien in third. Arthur Chan will be in fourth. Travis Schwanke, Chris Storm, and David Payton. Russ Ruddick and Elvis Rankin. That will round out your top 10. And as we quickly cycle this here, we have Brandon Cartier down in 11th. Georgie Fike in 12th. Then as we cycle down a grid spot here, we have Bobby Childs, and then it's Losky Diolio, Jeff Jacobs, Edgar Sanchinelli, Michael Key, the race marshal, and then it's Robert Hartley who qualified, and Raymond Bader Jr. will round out your grid of drivers for GTLM. Take us through the GTDs.
Yeah, taking pole in the GTDs is going to be Ian Gagnon Renault, followed up by Tyler Shiflett, Chad Parker, Braden Whitler, Eric Violet, Brendan Misler, Tyler Giometti, Jack Wells, Lee Overton, Derek Holland, Michael Hillard, and Robert Burst, starting up in the very back row.
So that is all of your drivers here tonight. Let's see how they're going to stack up. This is going to be a very long and challenging race for these drivers. It's all going to come down to the pit stops here and who can get the best possible strategy, because here really the strategy at Road America is so important, because if you get caught up behind some lap cars or you don't get your toe, even in these GT cars where the toe may not be as prominent, if you don't get that, then that could be a big problem for you later on down in the race. And then as well, looking at pit stop strategies in your GTDs, we're looking at about 30 to 32 minutes into the race that they will come into pit, and about 40 to 43 minutes into the race is when that'll close. And then the same thing for GTLM is pretty similar, 32 minutes and 30 to about 35 minutes that will start to open, and then around 40 to 44 minutes it'll start to close again. So certainly interesting here as the field gets rolling behind the iRacing safety car, and we get ready to go for 90 minutes of action tonight.
Yeah, definitely 90 minutes of action is certainly going to be presented to us in the best way possible here on Apex Racing TV for the season finale of the Ricmotech GT Challenge.
Yes, certainly will be. We'll have to keep an eye on how everything plays out throughout the field. We're going to see a lot of different battles. I think that this GTD battle, is really going to be a good one here at America, because you just can't get away here. It's just impossible, really, to pull a huge gap. Now, we see Ian Gag on Renault do that at a bunch of different circuits this season where, yes, it's been a super hard one to pull a gap on, but I really do think that he is going to struggle tonight, especially if Tyler Shiflett and Brandon Whitworth are on their game and they're really able to stick up in his slipstream. I don't see how it's going to be very easy for Ian to pull away tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Ian's going to have his work cut out for him. He has a championship locked up, but the battle for second place is what we're really looking on for. Speaking of the battle for second place in the top category, we mentioned William Laster in there. He's not in the field today.
So William Laster not in the field. That's definitely interesting. It's not something that maybe we've seen before there. I'm kind of interested to kind of just see why he is not in the field tonight, but certainly something to keep an eye on, just everything through the field. I think we're going to see just a lot of things that are going to be out of the ordinary maybe for this circuit, things that we haven't seen yet in the season, because we haven't had a track like this where the straightaways are so long and things like that. And a lot of drivers, like you said earlier, really underestimate the circuit, and I think that some of the times it almost disencourages them, if that's even a word, to come and run because of how difficult they actually find the circuit to be.
Yeah, and because of that, the racing organizers have actually put in a little agreement telling drivers they're going to be taking it easy into the opening turns 1 and up to 5, and in the braking zone coming into Canada corner. And I believe they're starting this race. It looks like they're all doing it single file, but I think that's just going through the field so nobody weaves into each other.
And you can see there the beautifulness of this field. We have a very strong and dominant field, and it's all headed by this man right here, Aeronam, who has won a lot of the races this season. I don't have an exact count on it. Actually, yes, I do have an exact count on it. It's 3 wins and 3 podiums in 7 races. He's only been off the podium 1 time. The only person that's matched him on race wins is Caden Bien, who is also in the Ferrari. Here's Caden here in the RSR Sports Ferrari. He has a chance as well to get another race win under his belt. You know that's going to be what he wants to do, even if he can't grab the championship at this point, though. The field comes out of the final corner, and it's now in the hands of the race marshal and pole sitter Aeronam as they head down the dead up the hill now, the very steep hill here at Road America. And we get ready to enter that starting zone and get the green flag in the air and get this race underway.
It's a slow call underneath all the way to the very top of the hill. And we're going green flag racing for one last time here at Road America. And it's an amazing start by Aeronauts, but it's a horrid start by Mike Dam, who falls all the way down 2 positions.
Yeah, terrible start then. Caden Bien looks around the outside on Aeronami. Can't make anything work there. But they're all going to slot single file now into line. Two DTD sports cars go side by side. We got 3 wide in the background there momentarily. Elvis Rankin gets shuffled down a few positions. The DTD sports drivers are going at it, but Travis Schwenke had an amazing start. Then just got his nose chopped there by Arthur Chan. But everyone's still going side by side. Dam and Chan, they're going at it here at the start.
Yeah, Caden Bien and Aeronom side by side as the GTDs are being let go here on the front straight.
They're 3 wide then, actually, for just momentarily. Sorry to cut you off there, Austin, but they're 3 wide as they headed down into turn number 1, and they're still 3 wide. The background, GTD delivering here at the start, and you can see as several drivers getting shuffled down a few spots, and as everyone cycles their way through, it looks as if everyone's going to get through cleanly. No one ends up the wrong way around or on the wrong side up, but as they head down the straightaway now, you can see a couple of drivers really getting uneasy then. Lee Overton looks for a move on Tyler Galamente. He struggled here in the latter end of the season, hasn't he? But as they all cycle through.
Yeah, on that start, we saw Tyler being very late on the brakes. You maybe heard me make a very weird sound as I saw that very, very beautiful Audi just going very late on the brakes and almost causing a little bit of collision into turn 1, but they've all went through there cleanly as we were looking at the GTLM field as they pass side by side. Canada corner, that is George Fike and Bobby Childs.
And as they all run through here now, Rankin and Fike still going at it. These two are not giving up, and this is just allowing the group ahead of them to pull away even more than they already have. But look at this here. Aeronom still leads out the field. He's got a half-second advantage as they cross the line that time. Caden Bien launches himself up into second place. Mike Dam down in third, so he's recovered off after a terrible start there for Mike Dam. The whole outside row really did not get that great of a run, but they've all kind of settled in now at this point, and no one's really going for anything. But we'll have to see if Caden Bien can get up to the bumper of Aeronom once again and really challenge him, because I think if he doesn't get ahead of him early, it's going to pretty much be a lost cause towards the end.
Yeah, we've seen how consistent Aeronom has been, especially at Sebring, where he just had the pace out of all. But once again, at Sebring, he got passed up earlier on the race, and that pretty much decided the race right there. And it was a very entertaining race, but if he gets passed early, it's going to be pretty hard for him to get back.
Certainly will be, and that's also just down to, tires wear more. There's so many different factors that come into effect that a lot of people just don't realize, that whenever you get passed earlier and you're behind in the dirty air, even though these GT cars don't throw up much of a dirty air, they still do throw up some that can cause some drivers some really, really big issues whenever it comes to tire wear. And in a race like this, tire wear is going to be crucial, because if you have to take 2 tires versus someone that has to take none, you're going to be losing a net 20 to 25 seconds, I think, in the pit stops.
And pit stop entry and exit are going to be crucial here at Road America. It's a very tight lane heading into the pit stop and up the hill. And getting a speeding penalty here is something you definitely do not want. Pit stops usually last around 50 seconds here.
So being that they do last 50 seconds, that's a big gamble, even if you're trying to go for a single stop versus a double. If you can make a one-stop strategy work and you have the fuel capabilities to do it, you must be stupid not to take it. If you even just remotely think that you can do it, you might as well try it and see, because it's worth the risk here. Because like you said, 50 seconds on the road is in the pits is a lot of time.
Definitely. It's almost about half a lap here at Road America, with laps taking 2 minutes, as the top of the field is pulling out a 1:59.01 as we see Tyler Schwenke in turn 5 having a little bit of battle with Arthur Chan. Interesting fact, only second and third have swapped paces in the top 9 spots. The biggest mover so far is Bobby Childs, who is up 3 spots from where he qualified in the GTLM field.
Yeah, we'll similarly look back here at GTD. There's a lot of drivers really kind of swapping it up here. Chad Parker gets slept down one position, but here's a good battle. This is Eric Violet versus Brandon Misler. Brandon, one of the only Audis in the field, one of two Audis in your GTLM field here tonight, and he's making that a very nice showing for the F4H Racing crew, sitting down in 5th place, and he may get up in a 4th here as Eric Violet ran a little bit wide, but he was able to recover from that quite nicely and able to keep that spot. So Eric Violet defends his 4th place position, but it may be all hope lost here because Brandon Misler looks as if he's got a lot of pace in that Audi.
Got an incident under review for Chad Parker and Lee Overton. That just came through race control. See what happens here. And coming out of the exit at turn 1, Lee Overton gets turned around by Chad Parker. Race control is definitely going to have a very big look at it. Let's ride on board with Chad.
And I'm almost not sure, though, that I don't know about that one. I actually kind of had to put about a 50-50 blame on that one because, for me, I think that Chad wasn't quite expecting Lee to check up as much as he did. And I think he was almost expecting him just to run the normal line and really take a lot of speed there on the exit. But whenever he checked up as hard as he did, and Travis Schwanke's in the wall. What's happened here?
I think that's a loss in turn 5, but he might have got bumped in the braking zone or on the exit. Side by side they go, and yeah, he does get bumped on the exit.
Wheel-to-wheel contact then with Arthur Cham, and then he got hit up the back by what appears to be, I think that was actually Chris Thorman. Wow, that's a good camera shot. Yeah, it was Chris Thorman who ended up getting into the back of him there. So unfortunate incident there for Travis Schwanke, but I would have to say that's kind of a racing deal there for him, unless there's, I don't see how that could have been. Really, any driver could have done anything differently there.
Yeah, they were all using as much track as they can. The car on the inside, just a little bit too much.
Yeah, definitely tried to push him out just a little bit too far, but we'll have to see if race control wants to take a look at that and what they think about that incident. But they do currently have their hands full with the Lee Overton Chad Parker incident. And there we go, race control. It's underneath review, so they're taking a look at that one and seeing what's going on. The Ricmotech admins really doing a nice job here once again to make sure this racing's nice and fair. Make sure that you do, if you have time and you want to fill up your Monday nights with something, you jump on and race this, because this is certainly a very cool league to be in, and really, I would think a lot of fun to race for these drivers, because you get these 90-minute races, this multi-class format, and a lot of times your GTLMs and your GTDs aren't that big a pace difference when they come up to be passed. So it can make a really fun challenge for your GTLMs who maybe aren't the quickest and are almost the same pace as the GTDs to try and get by those cars.
Yeah, as Ian Gagnon Renault sets the new fastest lap for the GTDs. It's a 2:02, but the top fastest guy in GTLM is a 1:59.06. So only 3 seconds separate the very top fast guys here. It's actually Caden Ben in second place who has the fastest lap in the GTLMs. But only 3 seconds separate these fields. It's a very tight field, honestly, even in different classes.
Yeah, it really is a very tight field here. Let's see. Something's happened to Michael Hilliard. Let's see what happened to him. May just be our timing screens playing up a bit, but it's always worth a look. Yeah, that's a drift and a spin then for Michael Hilliard. So very minor incident. Luckily, no contact him. And Lee Overton, sadly, out of today's race, so he is unable to continue at this point.
Got Bobby Childs, one of the biggest mover in the GTLM field. He actually backed off from Russ Ruddick of Flying Totus Motorsport. As Russ going for a spin, look out, Bobby, and Bobby just narrowly avoids it.
That was very close then. That was some amazing avoidance work by Bobby Childs.
6 cents to back up right here. He says if he stayed this close, it's going to cause a massive incident. And he decides to back off, and 6 cents came into him as Russ took way too much speed heading into turn 1 and just slides it. Going into turn 1, almost exactly what we saw with Michael Key, and just barely avoids that. Great avoiding by Bobby Childs.
Yeah, wonderful job to avoid him like that. I mean, that was a very, very close incident, and I think Russ Ruddick has gotten going again. That car looks to not have any damage on it, so I think he got away pretty lucky there, because that could have been a major incident for him. That could have caused a multi-car pileup, because that's a very quick corner, and it's not easy to change your trajectory on a very short notice, but Bobby Childs does an amazing job to avoid him and not lose too much time. He's currently chasing down Rafael Sosa, and is currently your biggest mover as well at 5 places up. So he's had a really nice charge through the field here tonight.
Yeah, Bobby Childs definitely making it very clean and very easy. We see a good side-by-side battle with Jack Wells. And we see him flashing the lights at Chad Parker right there. Don't think that was out of anger or anything. I think it's just trying to distract him. And no further action between the Lee Overton and Chad Parker incident. So no action on them.
So those two really, look at this battle though. We got to jump back to the GTLMs here momentarily. Losky Diolio and Jordy Fike side by side, and George Fike is going to move up into the 13th spot, and Losky Diolio loses one there, and he may even lose another one here to Jeff Jacobs if Jacobs can get to the inside quickly, but he's not able to do so. And this is another great battle. Look at Travis Schwenke. He's moving his way through the field. You know he's going to be a man on a mission this afternoon, charging back forward. I mean, that's a terrible way to get taken out of an amazing position like he was in. So he'll be moving up the field, and I think he's going to make quick work here of Elvis Rankin once he gets the opportunity.
Back up front with Aeronam. Pulled out his lead to a second ahead of Caden Bien. Caden still in that draft, trying to catch up to Aero as much as he can and just stay with him. But they are definitely flying away from Mike Dam in third place.
Yeah, really pulling away here is your lead too, and Aeronam starting to extend the lead just that little bit over Caden Bien down at second. And here we go. Here's another one through car 87. That is Arthur Chan. Gets a drive-through penalty for his incident with Travis Schwenke. So we'll see when he comes down to serve that. That's going to slot him down several positions down the order, and he's going to serve it right away. And we'll move him, and we'll drop a lot of positions here early on. But Travis Schwenke, wow, he thought about it then to going down the inside, and that was all it needed to scare Elvis Rankin out. And now Travis Schwenke is going to move up into the 11th position, and once he cycles out of Arthur Chan, he'll be up into 10th. So not a bad recovery so far here for Travis Schwenke. He's only down 5 positions, and you know that he should be able to gain a few more as this race unfolds.
Yeah, just show you how long this pit stop is, this pit lane is. Just for a drive-through penalty, it's 39 seconds. Arthur Chan is down to 16th place.
Such a little mistake can cause so much incident. I mean, that's a lot of time to be lost in a drive-through penalty, and that's just one of the things. These drivers have to be so careful, because if they're not, then they're just going to lose a lot of time.
We're looking at Brendan Whitler and Shiflett. They're having a good old battle for P2. 400 separate them. And Brandon Whitworth, one of the biggest movers in the GTD class, where the biggest have only moved up 2 spots from where they started.
Yeah, so that just shows how small of gains can be made in these the GTD field. Only 12 drivers in this field, so quite a small field here, but still nonetheless a very good field at that. And just kind of interested here. I want to see what weather conditions. So we're looking at late afternoon. We're about 3:30 p.m. at this point, but we're late in 2019, so we should see a very nice. We should get a latter end of the sunset, almost into the dark here. Towards the end of this race, depending on how fast the sun's going to set here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. But we have a lot of racing left in front of us. We are only 16 minutes into 90 minutes of action, so there's certainly going to be a lot more left. And this battle, though, for second place in GTD is starting to heat up, because Brandon Whitworth's knocking on the door of Tyler Shiflett. He wants second place. Because I think that at this point he knows that Ian Gagnon-Renault is a little bit too far ahead at 4 seconds.
Yeah, this is the most reachable position right now. And Brandon Whitworth trying anything he can. I heard somebody slide a little bit going into Canada corner. That might have been Eric Violet and Brandon Minsler right behind him. But these two guys definitely in a class of their own. Well, not on Ian's class, as he's just checked out right now in the lead.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. I think that we could have a GTD 2.0, and that would be what Ian's put in, and then everyone else is down to the GTD class right now. I mean, that definitely is arguable, but I think that Ian really, I mean, he's dominated this GTLM or this GTD field once he got into it. And he's pretty much been unstoppable ever since. He's currently sitting at 5 consecutive race wins. That's incredible. Brandon Minsler, the only one else to take a win in the season, and he had 2 wins to start off the season, but then Ian got in his groove. And I think he didn't even join the championship until 2 rounds in, possibly, or really just found his groove at 2 rounds in or something, and was able to capitalize and dominate the remainder of the championship.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a few drivers to get a little feel for the championship before they get comfortable around the guys and around everyone else before they, just start going absolutely ham on everybody else.
Yeah, it certainly could be. I mean, there's definitely a bunch of different ways that drivers look at going into new championships. Do you kind of just take it a little bit easy and try to make friends in the championship, or do you just go out with a bag and not really care what anyone thinks about you and go for every race win that you can? And I think that Ian kind of went for the more conservative route and was able to just dominate the latter end of the stages once he kind of got his feet, once he found his feet, and yeah, that was all everyone saw of Ian. Pretty much, I think the closest that they ever get to him is at the start of the race, and then he's just checked out from there. I mean, and this field really is a master class of drivers. I mean, there's drivers with 5,000, 4,000 I rating in this GTD field that certainly are amazing drivers and can definitely drive very, very well. And the fact that Ian is able to pull away as much as he is and really dominate as he is, it's very an impressive thing to be doing here. And his work's paid off. He's won the championship in the inaugural season.
Even more impressive if we're just going by I-rating number. He's not even the highest I-rating in the field in the GTD class.
No, he's not. He's actually one of the about the middle of the I-rating ranges that we see.
As we see Brennan Misler and Violet having a little bit of a drag race, still following each other. They're picking up the draft, but Misler, I think he's going into a little fuel-saving strategy right now. And just lifting off and coasting, going down the straight and letting Violet carry him along. So some mind games and strategy happening right now before the first pit stops in the GTD field.
We could be seeing two possibly of those, but most likely we're going to see one, I would think, from the GTDs if they can extend the fuel out enough. But if they can't, then I think maybe some drivers are going to go for the more conservative strategy, but it'll be interesting to see who goes for the more conservative, who goes for the all-out attack strategy, and then who's kind of one of those people who almost goes for that weird middle ground where they may go for a one pit stop race, but take tires in the process, pretty much eliminating the fact of taking the dual pit stops. So it'll be interesting to see what everyone does with strategy. This is how this race in at least GTLM is going to be won and lost, is by the strategy that these drivers can play. And we know how good Aeronam is at doing that. We've seen him play the strategy to perfection many a times before. So it's definitely going to be difficult for Caden Bien and the RSR Esports team to capitalize on that. And they're really going to have to get their strategy perfect tonight if they're looking to win over Aeronam, because right now Aero has driven that car out to a 3.6 second advantage. Or 1.36 second advantage.
Yeah, Aeronam just on another level right now as we're looking at the battle for 11th in class with George Feike, Rankin, Yolio, and Jacobs.
It's a nice little battle here. Not a whole lot separating these few drivers. Another battle that's really close here. It's Travis Schwenke. He's already caught up to Russ Ruddick, sorry. And he's looking to get by. He may actually get by him very quickly. Let's ride on board here with the Porsche driver who has spun around early on. And that's caused him a whole lot of time lost. And he's just right behind another driver who spun out early on in the race and had a bit of unfortunateness there. So he may be able to draft to get by it, but I'm not sure he wants to make it 3 wide. Is he going to do it 3 wide? No, he's not, but he's going to pick his nose out. Very, very late indeed. Travis Schwenke down the inside into turn 1, and Rankins and Ruddick, not even going to challenge him, and he's going to allow Travis Schwenke through. Now, next on the pecking order for Schwenke is Bobby Childs. 7 seconds up the road, though.
Yeah, Schwenke's pace is just absolutely enormous to Bobby Childs. They're close currently based on last lap, but we've seen Schwenke and how much that he's moved up through the field right now and recovering 5/10 faster than Bobby Childs. And Childs has Sosa Cartier ahead of them as well. They're battling all for 6th in class, so it's going to slow them up just a little bit.
Yeah, certainly will. Sosa very wide indeed, and that's going to cost them all just even more time. I mean, this is not what these guys need to be doing, because if they're wanting to stick ahead of Travis Schwenke, who currently sits at 6.7 seconds behind them, then they need to work in a group pretty much to just stay in line and not lose all that time to Schwenke. But right now, all they're doing is just costing themselves time.
Well, they aren't thinking long term, they're thinking close term right now. Currently, right now, it's all about Cartier right behind you. How am I going to get him off my tail? And who's ahead of you, and how can I get ahead before the first pit window, which opens for the GTD class at the 30-minute mark?
Oh, there's someone spun around ahead.
Ooh, that is
David Payton.
That's unfortunate. I think that was a self-inflicted. It is self-inflicted. He may have gone a little bit too wide on the exit and got into the gravel. Yep.
Then reverses across the track, and he's going to end. Oh, and he ends up in a concrete wall. That is so unfortunate. I mean, you just try to get out of the way of everybody, and you end up inflicting your race more. And yeah, I think that's going to be pretty much days done here for David Payton. I don't think Oh, man, that's going to be some heavy, heavy repairs if he is able to get it repaired, but I just don't think he's going to be able to.
Yeah, it's definitely going to affect his race a lot. Currently sitting in P10 now after that incident. As Rafael Sovsov takes a little bit of grass. Ooh, very loose in the background. That's Bobby Childs.
Childs loose indeed.
And Paton. Paton's out. David Paton's out.
Is out. So David Payton has retired that car, and he has decided to just retire and be done with this race after that huge, huge incident, which cost him an entire race worth of time here. So unfortunate for the DTD Esports driver because he was doing so well and was running up in 5th place. But man, that's so unfortunate for him. Now, one of 2 now DTD Esports drivers running in the field. It is Chris Thorman and Bobby Childs. They're the only 2 left at this point, and then Brandon Whitworth and Chad Parker. So 4 in total, but 2 per class now left to fight for the DTD Sports team. They've been a really big team in the series, and they've supported the series for so long. And they really just don't have the best luck, to be honest.
Yeah, sometimes racing is a big roulette table at times. And luck plays a big factor here, and that kind of explains why some drivers are very superstitious before they go out. They always vibe to certain songs. They always stick to a certain warm-up routine, and they always do some certain traditions to keep that amount of luck with them.
Yeah, and you almost have to do it. I mean, it's as much as it sounds really, really weird, you really do just have to stick to your weird traditions and just keep on doing them every single time, because it will inevitably at some point hopefully pay off for you.
Speaking of weird traditions, do you have any weird traditions?
No. Other than the fact that I check my car to make sure my belts are in my seat 7 times before a race.
Yeah, okay, it's not as weird as mine. I listen to Vanilla Ice, Ice Baby.
Okay, then.
Don't know why, but it's probably good juju every time.
Back to the action, though. We got Brian Cartier all over the back of Rafael Sosa. They don't have to worry about Bobby Childs anymore because Childs is sitting about 2.9 seconds back from the mid. Ooh, I thought Cartier was he had to think about that one. The Phoenix Racing driver and the BMW really thought about sending one down the inside of Rafael Sosa. Wasn't able to get it done, though. Down in towards Canada Corner. Canada Corner is one of those really tricky passing opportunities because if you don't get it right and you lock up or you miss the corner, then you're going to lose a whole lot of time than if you had just sat in line and they got the draft on the front straight, tried to make it work down into turn number 1. But this is really, as much as it is, a lot of people think it's a very easy track to pass that. It's not. As Sosa and Cartier side by side. Brian Cartier is going to take over the 5th position. Rafael Sosa is going to move down into 6th. And I don't know if he's going to be able to challenge him again. I think this may be the last that we see of Brian Cartier. I think he's just going to pull away from them.
Yeah, Sosa, he saw Cartier charging up on the straight and into the braking zone. Sosa didn't try a lot to defend the race. He knows it's very early on, not even 1/3 of the way in, but heading into turn 5. Here comes Sosa down the inside of Cartier, going to turn 5. And Cartier returns the favor, not battling side by side with Sosa as Sosa returns up to P5. Great clean battling here for the top 5 in the GTLM.
Certainly some great battling as these guys turn 5, the best passing opportunity on the circuit, I would have to say. I mean, it's one of those corners, if you can just get it down the inside a lot of times, then you are going to be able to make that work. But it's all about getting it down the inside and getting that far enough alongside, because if you get to that certain point sometimes in the car, if you pull out too early down the straightaway, that the car beside you will actually benefit from the side draft and will be able to pull up alongside of you again and you won't actually be able to clear them. So it's a chess match to win at Road America, especially in a high draft situation. It's really just, at the end of the day, who can play their cards right and who can get the overall victory.
Speaking of chess matches, the GTD field has now entered their pit window.
They have indeed. The GTD pit window is officially open. So drivers, we may see them jump into the pits, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see them stretch it out. Now, if we see drivers stretch out their pits to about 45 minutes into the race, then there's a possibility that they could be going for a single pit stop race here. And if we see anybody don't really stretch that and they only go to about the 30-minute mark, then expect them to be doing a single pit stop or a double pit stop race here today. We'll just have to wait and see what they decide to do with their strategies, because there's a lot of different ones that they can do. I mean, you've got the option of, do you take tires? Do you not take tires? Do you go for the single or double pit stop race here? And if you do you take tires on one of those pit stops? And at that point, how many do you take? So there's so many different options that these guys have to contemplate live while they're racing. And that's what makes these 90-minute endurance races just so much fun.
Yeah, it's a massive chess game and a massive brain and math game. You're going to have to sacrifice one thing or another to get the race that you want here at Road America. You're going to sacrifice grip for faster pit stops with no taking tires, or you're going to sacrifice time in the pits, which is very crucial here for a more grippier race at the end. You're definitely going to have to sacrifice time for fuel. You can't do that on no, but you can sacrifice the first stint and ending stint on how fast you're going with what fuel node you're in and how long you can stretch out that fuel load. And you can see what Fikey and Rankin doing behind Relino, as well as my goodness. As long as what Whitworth is doing right now behind P2, he's just staying behind there, not pressuring for position, and is just lifting off the throttle and saving fuel behind him and letting the draft carry him onwards.
Yeah, that's exactly what Whitworth is doing here. I mean, he's just milking it all it's worth here off Tyler Shiflett. He's not letting Shiflett get away. And if he does kind of pull out to about that 0.8 of a second mark, you just see Whitworth push a little bit harder, move himself back up there, stay within the draft range, and don't let him get far enough away that he's not going to be able to catch him after the pit stops are done. And once he does that, then he's all set to go and stays in the draft and saving his fuel again.
Yeah, so I really want to see how far Whitworth can carry out this fuel strategy that he's got going behind Tyler in P2, because he is in the biggest contention to do and try that one-stop strategy.
Certainly is indeed, and we'll ride on the front dashboard camera here from Brian Cartier as he battles Rafael Sosa as he go down the inside. Wow, that's close between Sosa and Cartier, but they don't make contact, and Sosa is able to keep the position. That was really close and nearly a catastrophic incident.
Yeah, that could have been very, very unfortunate between these two, but they managed to keep it clean. Good on Cartier for not trying to force a move and force an incident as they're being chased down by Bobby Childs and Travis Schwenke.
So chasing down, they're down to 1 second now between them and Childs, and Schwenke is actually now down to 0.6 of a second on Childs himself. So this could be a really strategic call here for Bobby Childs. If he lets Travis Schwenke go by, then he could be in for a very good strategy, being able to just sit in the slipstream and work his way back up to these two BMWs going at it.
Yeah, the pit window for the GTLM class has also opened up right now. So we're going to see some fuel strategy between these two, but I think Travis Schwenke is pulling that right now, just sitting in that draft and letting Bobby Childs carry it mostly for him. And in this massive train, it's just going to be even greater returns for this.
Certainly could be. It's one of these things that these drivers have to think about, whether they or not they can afford to let a driver by, and if it's just going to end up benefiting the race more than keeping that driver behind would. So something that they've all got to think about in their minds. And this isn't a track like we've seen in the past that we've raced at, like Belle Isle and some of these other circuits where you can really get away with just driving your own race. You don't have to worry about the draft as much. But at Road America, draft is just worth everything. And how much time spent on pit road as well is worth everything. So if Schwenke can clear these guys quickly or possibly undercut these guys, then if he can get into the pits early, not lose too much time to these guys, and still continue with his strong pace, he can undercut every single one of them. So it's something that he's also got to think about into the back of his mind as Charles locks up and he's going to run wide.
Great heads-up move by Schwenke. He was already favoring that inside line, and he was charging in on Childs already out of the kink and out of the carousel. And Schwenke already had that inside line so he could avoid that spin from Childs. As Childs recovered from that very nicely, staying on the back of Schwenke, able to keep up with that draft and stay within this four-way fight for P5.
So able to stay there indeed. We can ride on board with that very loud and screaming Porsche as it heads through turn number 1 and down the front straightaway. Then it's worked its way now down to the back straightaway, the second longest, actually the longest straightaway, I believe, on the circuit. Maybe closely beat out by the front straightaway, but I'm not too sure there. I'll call this one the infield straight, because why not? But nonetheless, they all run down this very long straightaway down into turn number 5.
Not really a straightaway.
No, it's really not a straightaway. This one, though, underneath the Corvette Bridge, that's such an amazing portion in real life. If you've never run there in real life and you've never really seen that, it's insane how steep it actually is up and towards turn number 5. It's not one of those corners like you see at a lot of other tracks where they look super steep, but they're really not. This track, it is steep.
It is one of the most vertical tracks in all of America and the world here at Road America. Almost rivals the elevation changes of Spa. So there's a big lockup from Cartier heading into Canada corner as Bobby Childs has fallen off from the back of this field. I wouldn't be surprised if Childs goes into the pit this lap.
Wouldn't be surprised either. We'll have to see, though, whether these guys go for the different strategies. Does Childs go in? And I think that you called it perfectly. Bobby Childs to the pit lane, and he'll be the first one in your GTLMs to dive down to the box. Now let's see how long the pit stop is so we can kind of see what to expect tonight.
I think he's going to be the only one this pass, but the rest of the field, they have 2 more laps to make up in this first pit window unless they're going to try to go for that one-stop strategy, which is going to be so coveted. It's going to take a real driver's driver to go after that one-stop. Currently, who I think it could be, probably Cartier or Schwenke right now. Those are the only drivers that I see able to pull off a one-stop.
I would have to agree with you on that one. As all the drivers start to cycle through on their pit stops, we're going to go non-stop racing action here on Apex Racing TV. Don't go anywhere. Be sure to join us here for the final, what is about to be half hour, as car 54 gets an instant limit violation, and that's going to be a drive-through penalty then for driver. I believe that's Elvis Rankin. Yes, it is. So he will have to serve that, but as everybody starts to file into the pit stops, we're going to be right back here in just a few minutes on Apex Racing TV. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Apex Racing TV's continuous coverage of the Ricmotech GT Challenge season finale here from Road America. Everything's sort of settled down here in the last few minutes. Travis Schwenke's able to get ahead of this group of drivers, and I think that's going to be all the progression that we're going to see him doing tonight, as not bien a damn all into the box here in the early stages of this race. You can see them here. They all cycle down pit road. So now the question is, does Chris Thorman come in this time? Does Travis Schwenke come in this time? And if then, who do we see else come in?
We saw Brian Cartier and Sosa on the brakes, swap positions as Schwenke made his way through the field in our non-stop coverage. And Thorman is actually staying out. What does the rest of the field do? Sosa's into the pits. And you can start seeing the chess pieces move right now, as this is now the battle for the lead. But look at Russ Rudnick rejoining in front of Aeronam and almost chops off his nose right there, as the rest of the field are coming out of the pits. And we see Deolio right behind Aeronam, who is getting a good draft off of Rudnick.
Certainly as here we can see how many stops have been done here tonight. Aeronam has made a stop. Caden Bien and Mike Dam, as well as Sosa, Jacobs, and Childs, all having made their pit stops in GTLM. Then down in GTD, no one has actually come into the pits yet in this race, so that's an interesting little dynamic there, that no one's actually come in yet. And this is the latest end of the pit stops we were thinking we were going to see. We were expecting these guys to come in first and be the first ones out. But so far, we've gone 45 minutes, and none of them have come in. So there's a possibility maybe in that field that we could see these guys going on a one-stop.
Well, they're halfway through the race right now. They've edged these engines and fuel tanks to the capacity right now. If they go into the pits, they're going to make the entire race on one stop. But they have to time it just right, because if the GTLM guys just get the start line just by a little bit too much close to the finishing time of 1 hour 30 minutes, they're going to have to go on for another lap. And we might have some guys' fuel cells drip out at the very end, as we see Aeronam just swinging around the outside as Russ Rudnick and Deolio heading into the pits.
So the last two drivers yet to make their pit stops here, at least at the front of this field, Travis Schwenke and Chris Thorman. But everyone else so far has made their stops. Edgar Sancinelli, and Edgar Sancinelli actually is going to dive in, but Arthur Chan has also yet to make his stop in this race. So at this point, though, the majority of the drivers have made their stops, and the majority of the drivers are back out again. We're just waiting on 3 more at this point. And then we will have will have made their first pit stop, and I would assume that that'll be the case for everyone in their second as well. No one will be making 2 tonight, and unless you had a horrid strategy and you've somehow lost a whole bunch of fuel. But again, I'm expecting everyone to have this pretty well sorted.
Yeah, definitely. As if we go back to Mr. Chan, he did have that drive-through penalty that he had to serve, so him staying out is the best guess and the best try to gain positions as he can and try for that overcut. And same with Travis Schwenke, as that's a GTD ahead of him as he is lapping, and that GTD has a bit of damage.
A little bit of damage to the front end of that GTD. Not quite sure what happened there with him.
As Chris Thorman is heading into the pits, we'll see if Travis Schwenke and his fuel saving kept him going for another lap. No, it does not, as Schwenke heads into the pit lane. See if he gained any positions with that overcut strategy, because Aeronam, he did have to deal with a bit of traffic, but he's going to stay in P1. So he comes down the front straight, and the guys haven't even reached their boxes yet.
For sure, Chris Thorman will slot out into third. At least he will slot out into third place. And yes, he will. He will do just that. He'll slot out into third here tonight. Don't think there's any way that Bobby Childs is going to be able to jump that number 60 D2D sports car. I think Travis Schwenke may also have jumped as well. And Arthur Chan is into the pit lane, so every driver now at GTLM, has made their stops. None of the drivers yet, though, in GTD have made their stops. They have all continued on to at this point, and we're almost 50 minutes in. This is a long run here for the GTD.
Well, there's a little bit of smoke. That's from Bobby Childs ahead of Ian Gagnon Renault. And I think Ian's starting to feel his tires start to slip up just a little tad bit, as the driver behind him is actually picking up, and the field's actually moving up as Gagnon Renault is in 11th overall right now.
Yeah, that's a pretty impressive there from Ian, able to get himself up into 11th overall at this point. And I think that just kind of shows how many GTLM runners have had just horrible nights tonight. I mean, really none of them have had a whole lot of luck, because the first year GTLM started to come into the pit lane, and it is immediately Tyler Shiflett, Tyler Galmente, and Chad Parker all diving down to the box. Several of the drivers able to stay out and continue on. Ian Gagnon Renault and Brandon Whitworth, the only two, and Brandon Misler, sorry, the three who chose not to come in this time.
Yeah, the GTD cars just now heading into the pit lane, and their leader staying out for another lap. Good overcut move by Ian Gagnon Renault. Already a massive lead, but I think he wants to flex his muscles just a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that he does just that little bit. Certainly an impressive drives that we've seen from Ian this season. I mean, he's really dominated the GTD category since he had his first win. And then after that, it was all about Ian for the remainder of the season. He has just killed it here so far.
So smooth in the corners, and he is heading into the pit lane right now.
Heading into the pit lane right now, he is Ian Gagnon Renault to the box after a 51-minute first stint. That's quite an impressive first stint, if I'm being honest. But the battle for sixth place has now changed between Rafael Sosa and Brian Cartier. We're battling for it. Now it's between Childs and Cartier. So Cartier is still in the mix and going for that battle here tonight. But now it's with the number 88 DTD Sports Ferrari instead of the number 50 Delta Racing BMW. So a bit different battle here that Cartier is going to fight, but he's going to certainly take to it to try and get sixth place in this race.
Bit different is right, because Bobby Childs, he went into the pits on lap 19, then lap 23 that Brian Cartier did. So different strategies between this, because according to his pit lap, it looks like Bobby Childs is going to go for a two-stop strategy, then risk a one-stop like the rest of the field.
Yeah, certainly can. Possibly. Oh, as Childs runs wide.
Oh, ball! They all did.
Yeah, definitely everyone ran wide, but Childs ran a bit wider than everyone. And but he was really lucky there, because a lot of times drivers will overcorrect that, and will end up in that inside barrier, which is not really the place that you want to end up going through the kink in Road America.
I know from experience that you do not want that. Carter just sitting behind Childs. He has the speed in that BMW to close down on him and in that draft, but that Ferrari engine is just so powerful on the straights.
Really is. I mean, that Ferrari is just, it's got such straight line speed over the BMW and really over every car, but it just doesn't have it through the corners like those other cars do. So they're able to kind of extend that just that little bit more that they need to. And car 54, incident violation number 2, stop and hold for a lap. So Elvis Rankin having a terrible night here tonight.
That's the second penalty.
Yeah, and he's going to have to stop and hold for an entire lap here. So that's a big penalty. He's going to be taken out of this race, more or less.
That's what happens when you're a very aggressive driver sometimes. You just pick up incident points left and right, and you aren't even trying that. And I think he just picked up another one right there.
I think that you're right, actually. I mean, that's just a bit, at this point, it's almost just a bit careless then from Elvis Rankin.
He's been having a tough race, so I'm not blaming the guy, but getting reckless at the end of a season is something that you just don't want to be doing.
No, it certainly isn't.
Can affect what people see on you, the teams, and the series, if they'll let you in for next year.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly can, and it's something where at Elvis, I mean, he's had a pretty clean season. He hasn't really had these penalties. Rack these up in the final race. It's just something that I don't think even the league organizers would be expecting him to do. I'm not quite sure here. What happened to Chris Thorman? Oh, Chris Thorman's gone off. He's lost a lot of time, yeah. Oh, he spun. That's how he lost the position to Travis Schwenke.
Always want to see somebody spin up their wheels and turn into the track. Is so scary because you never know on how close somebody is into that corner.
No, you really don't. I mean, it's so hard to judge, and that almost is going to put them back within striking distance from Childs and Cartier. So that could provide a bit of an interesting dynamic there if they're able to get up to Chris Thorman, but I don't think that's going to be the case because Thorman really, I mean, he's been up in that, he's had that pace of that top group here tonight, so I don't see how these guys are going to be able to close that gap, but there's a possibility, you never know. I mean, confidence can be shooken just that little bit by having that spin, so it's all about that and how the driver's able to deal with it.
Yeah, definitely confidence is key in motorsports, and these two, Thorman and Childs and Carter, they are closing in on Thorman.
Yeah, they certainly are indeed. Gap is down to 2.6 seconds. It was at almost 3 seconds just earlier on in this lap, so we'll have to keep an eye on the battle there. We'll have to keep an eye on the gap and see if that starts to extend again or if it starts to continue, to drop.
Yeah, it's going to drop right now. We'll see if Childs and Cartier swap places, but it doesn't seem like that. We're going to have a little bit of a fight right now for P6. Heading into turn one, Cartier breaks later than Childs, and they swap for P6.
Yeah, so they have swapped around here. And Cartier, now the one who will take the fight and see if he can close up to Chris Thorman ahead in fifth.
Stretch out the legs of that BMW engine some more. Maybe get Childs a little bit of a rest, a little bit of IndyCar drafting strategies going on here at Road America to try to close down to Thorman up ahead. And that gap has fallen all the way a few tenths right now as Cartier has just opened up a new can of lap time because he's pulling in Thorman.
Yeah, he certainly is. We'll have to see whether he actually is able to keep this up or if Chris Thorman still just has a bit of a confidence issue in that car and after he spun. So we'll really start to see that in around the next 5 to 10 minutes, I would say, whether that is representable or not. But like you said, Cartier is starting to really reel him in here.
Yeah, when he first got by through turns 5, 6, 7, and 8, he just absolutely nailed down on Chris Thorman. The BMW showing what it's good at, medium speed corners. And he's actually showing it right now as he's starting to reel him in through Canada corner and heading into the final corner. 2.1 seconds now.
Certainly is indeed. And the gap has gone back up, though, to 2.3 seconds. But Brian Cartier, it is really showing what he's worth here in the final race of the season. we haven't really seen this from Cartier this year. He's kind of been that about 5th to 10th place driver and hasn't really been able to take the fight to these top guys, but he's doing it here in the final race, showing that he is one of the better drivers in this league and that he can fight for top 5s and possibly even podiums going into next year.
Yeah, he's in the draft of Thorman and showing some good old racecraft when he got around Childs and in a good old pack with Childs as well as they're coming down into turn 5. It was 2.5 last time they came here. Let's see how much Cartier chops him down. He's actually leaving Childs behind.
He is. He's down to 1.3 seconds to Bobby Childs behind. And he's down to 2.1 to Chris Thorman ahead. So Ryan Cartier, man on the move at this point. And we'll have to watch. I'm going to just pull up a quick lap time gap here.
As we have 30 minutes left in this race, Aeronom leads the field by 3 seconds to Kanan Bin in second with Mike Dam in third place. Your top 3 in the GTLM. The GTD top 3 is Ian Gagnon Renault commanding 8-second lead to Whitworth and Misler, who are right behind in second and third in the GTD field.
Certainly is indeed. And there we go. Time delta between the drivers. Here, we're just going to switch this down to the last 3 laps so you can get a nice understanding. The gap now down to 1.8 seconds. And just 3 laps to go, it was at 2.6. So the gap's really coming down here. I'll just keep this down here in the bottom left corner so you can see kind of gaps we're looking at between these drivers.
Well, 2.5 seconds is usually when you're outside of the draft window. Cartier is definitely in that draft. And since Road America is a drafting track, he's going to just easily reel in to Thorman right now. Doesn't got to try to aggressively attack him into the corners as he is, but he's going to be catching him very, very soon. And Kanan Bin, okay, it just showed him as he was out for a little bit, but I think that was just connection issues.
Yeah, it looks to be just a bit of connection issues there for Caden Bien. We're having a bit of issues with their time delta graphic, so we'll just have to rely on our good old battle box here to show you that once it picks up, once it gets down to about a 1.5 second gap.
I believe it
just crossed
over. 1 second.
Just crosses over though at the 1 hour mark at this point. And we're looking at 27 minutes left to go in the season. Not a whole lot of time for these drivers to be moving through these large, large gaps that we see in this field. It's kind of surprised me, actually, to see that we've seen such big gaps between the drivers in this at this racetrack, because this is not usually a track that drivers spread out on.
Yeah, it's very hard for drivers to spread out because the draft here is so powerful. And when you pull out a gap to the car behind you, you're showing that you have some good pace. And Thorman has a little bit of traffic. That is the Audi of Tyler Giometti, and he's being held up heading into turn 1.
So that's going to cost him big time. He's down to 1.6 seconds. The gap between them. And now it's actually down now live to 1.2, so this is really hurt Chris Thorman here. McCarthy is going to have to deal with the same traffic that Thorman is.
And our battle box has now popped up as we are within 1 second for the battle for 5th in the GTLM class. And there it goes.
As this battle heats up, though, we're going to quickly go non-stop for the final time tonight here on Apex Racing TV for the final round of the Ricmotech GT Challenge. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few moments' time here for continuous coverage of the last, what'll that be, probably 22 minutes of this race. Don't go anywhere.
And we are back for the Ricmotech GT Challenge live look here at Muskie D'Olio. And Blackter is going to switch over to Brian Cartier as he still tries to close in on Chris Thorman, and he's going to have more people ahead of him as they're going through the kink and into Canada corner. Big old lockup ahead of Thorman. That's going to hold him up, and that's going to bring Cartier even closer to the Ferrari. And he's going to bring up our battle box right now. Cartier inside of that last Mercedes. Going to be very easy. Actually, that was a BMW. My bad right there. Cartier having a little bit of a draft battle. I think it was actually bump draft to that car heading down the front straight. Ferrari of Thorman clear of the lap traffic. Cartier still having to deal with it. Still within that second gap. Not showing any urgency, though, or aggressiveness to the other driver with just 20 minutes remaining here at Road America. Staying in that draft as much as he can. Trying to maximize that speed. Goes down the inside, heading into turn 5. Very late on the brakes. It's a very deep charge. It's a big lockup for him. And it was a very ambitious move. I think he was just trying to get free of the GT3 car, but something in his mind just clicked saying, I think I can make this move work. If he was a kamikaze pilot, probably. As a racing driver, sometimes you just see a move and then you go for it, then you just keep on going for it. See, okay, I brake late. How late can I go? Not that late. But he does get past the traffic, and he is down to 1.1 seconds behind Thorman. Down out of the carousel, into the kink, and into Canada corner. These two gonna have a little bit of a draft fest. And the battle for 5th is definitely gonna be alive here at Road America between Thorman and Cartier. And looking at Thorman's and Cartier's times, Cartier is almost an entire second faster than Thorman from last lap. As there's a second separating them right now as they're coming up the hill, down the front straight. He is in the draft, so he's going to be underneath the second as they head into turn 1. And as I go into turn 5, this might be a very, very close battle between the Ferrari and the BMW. .8 seconds now separates them. Thorman sees lap traffic ahead of him. Is not looking good for the Ferrari driver, as that's going to hold him up, and it's going to give Cartier even more chances to close in on him. Getting into the 8s. This is where Cartier excels at on this track. Kind of backing off from Thorman and this lap car in case there is a incident between them. As Thorman's looking down the inside of the carousel, this is a risky move for Thorman because it's going to compromise his exit, and they're still side by side heading into the kink. This might be disastrous. Thorman just eases his way through the kink right there, and here comes Cartier charging down the straight, and he's going to go side by side. There's Thorman. Thorman is slow. Cartier is going to try to slingshot it. He might try to set a move up onto the inside. Thought about it. Didn't want to commit, though. And Thorman and Cartier are now nose to tail with each other in the battle for 5th in the GTLM class. So they're coming down the front straight now. Thorman definitely under pressure from Cartier. There is a car ahead of him, but he's so off in the distance, it's not going to affect him this lap. So Cartier definitely prepping himself up for a move going into turn 5. Going to need a very good exit, a little bit of a wobble at mid-apex, but Cartier's got it. He's got it locked in. He's got the speed locked in. He's got the draft locked in. He is locked in. And they're going to be drag racing here at Road America. And now here comes Cartier down up onto the inside. Side by side they go. Late on the brakes goes Cartier. Thorman also goes late on the brakes, but Cartier, he has the apex. Cartier on the inside of the corner. A little bit of oversteer now. And they're still side by side heading into turn 6 underneath the Corvette bridge. And Cartier takes P5 What a charge that Brian Cartier has had. The biggest, tied for the biggest mover right now with Bobby Childs, up 6 spots from where he qualified in 11th to get to the top 5 here in the Ricmotech GT Challenge.
What a move then from Cartier. He's able to move himself up into 5th place, and that's going to push Thorman down into 6th after holding on to it for so long. He's not able to hold on to it in the crucial minutes that matter. Now, one of the other things that I'm noticing here, Aeronum has extended his lead out to nearly 5 seconds, but look at the gap that's come down here. That's for 2nd place. That's between Mike Dam and Caden Bien. So this is going to be an interesting one here to see whether Dam is able to close up to the back of Caden Bien here in the latter stages of this race. Now, it is quite a big gap. It's still at 1.6 seconds, and in 15 minutes is a closable gap, but it's certainly a difficult one to close at that.
Mike Dam does have a little bit of a lead and edge on the lap times, as this is another battle. The battle for 9th between Ruddick and Delolio. And Ruddick's been having a very tough race. We saw that spin he had in turn 1, and it just hasn't been going his way today. But Delolio, up 4 spots from where he qualified. He's been having a very nice race.
Certainly has indeed.
And with less than 15 minutes in this session, the moves are going to start counting now, because there is only about, I'd say about 7 laps left here at Road America.
Yeah, I'm going to say there's probably about 7 laps. I think you're probably right about that one. Now, it's not a whole much time. That's 7 laps maybe left on the season here. And whenever you put it that way, it sounds as if it's a whole lot more meaningful. But nonetheless, though, these guys that are in battles got to hold on for another 13 laps. The drivers that are tailing have to catch in 13 minutes. Sorry, so we'll have to watch out for everyone. But Mike Dam, though, gotta really keep an eye on this, because he's closing that gap to Caden Bien. I think Bien may be struggling a little bit at this point with the tire wear on that Ferrari. I know how it can kind of wear out a lot as the race goes on, and Mike Dam's able to capitalize on the Porsche, which may not have the fastest straight line speed or the best cornering speed, but is probably the easiest on his tires in the entire field, which makes it a very good car for these endurance racing environments, and certainly makes it a car that can come in handy for Mike Dam later on in this at these stages of this race.
Yeah, definitely. They both went into the pits at the exact same time. They both took exactly the same strategy based on their pit time right there. So they are both in the same strategy. Just Mike Dam not getting the straight line speed that he wanted to down the straight, because Caden Bien has pulled out a 1.5 seconds to him. So we see Russ Ruddick heading into the pit lane.
So Ruddick into the pits. Did he misjudge the fuel? I can't imagine that he would have misjudged the fuel like that.
It might be for something else. We are not sure. Did he go off track? Does he have damage?
Oh, yeah, he's got a lot of damage.
Oh, yeah, that right rear is not looking good. What's happened here to Russ Ruddick? So this is a classic Road America last corner. Oh, deep into the grass. Does he just get... Oh, no.
And that would be why he went into the pits.
And now a interview for car 27 and 28. They are under review, and that is Chad Parker. And I believe I misread that one But Chad Parker has been in an incident, and that incident is under review. Car 88 has been issued a drive-through penalty. That's Bobby Childs.
It's an incident responsibility there for Bobby Childs. I wonder what kind of incident he was involved in, though, because I haven't seen anything pop up.
That was with the that was Chad.
So that would make sense.
And here goes Bobby Childs to serve that penalty. That's just going to be a dagger to him because he was in a good spot right there as George Fiki gets past him. As here what's happened to Childs and Parker. And he just cuts the corner.
The curb, but I'm trying to figure out where they actually make contact.
I think it's right here.
Oh!
Oh, that's...
Okay.
That may have been retaliation.
Answered.
That may have been retaliation.
I don't think that you would retaliate, though, on your teammate, because I don't think that that would go over too well, so... Yeah, but that's interesting. I can't argue with that on race control side. They definitely did a good call there.
And he picks up a instant limit violation, so after serving one drive-through penalty, he's going to have to serve another drive-through penalty.
So Bobby Childs has now gone from good to bad to worse to god-awful, all in the matter of about a minute and a half. This has really been a bad race here for Bobby Childs.
Oh, he's not going to be looking forward to after this race. I don't know if he messed up his braking or that was just a little bit of a childish tap to him. Because when I see my teammates, I sometimes get the urge to tap them.
Sometimes I get the same way, but you certainly don't want to take your teammates out. It's not a good way to end out that one. Certainly not.
You get frustrated in the helmet. As Mike Dam has closed in on Caden Min. 4P2, 1.3 seconds separates them.
.3 seconds. All that separates these two drivers. It's really not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things with how everything's played out so far. Let's ride on board here for the first few complex of corners with Caden Bien.
Turns 1 and 2 very nicely heading into turn 3. As some Europeans might call it turn 2, but it's actually turn 3 because here in America we count kinks like this is turn 4 turns. Heading into the braking zone of turn 5. Let's see how smooth he is. Just a little bit of cutting the corner and extending the track onto that rumble strip. Turn 6, making it very nicely. And heading into my favorite section of all of Road America, Speedville, aka the Carousel. Who's fast King? He does have some traffic ahead of him, so he will be picking up a little bit of that draft as he heads into Canadian corner. Don't know why it's called Canadian corner. It's the corner closest to Canada. Good move by Ben to avoid that lap traffic as he comes down on the front straight. And that was a beautiful lap by Caden Ben because he actually pulled out a 2-second gap to Mike Dam.
Yeah, thanks for the entire lap commentary there, Austin. Wasn't quite my plan to keep it going, but you were doing such a good job and didn't want to interrupt you. Yeah, Caden Ben, nice job there. And that was a perfect lap to ride aboard with him because, like you said, he pulled out to what was a 1.9 second advantage. Now it's down to a 1.8 second, but still he did pull out a little bit on that lap. And with under 5 minutes to go, I just don't see that Mike Dam's able to close that gap. Unless Caden makes a mistake, then I just really don't see it.
Yeah, we're in the final 5 minutes, or the final, I would say, 2 to 3 laps here, depending on what part of the track Aero Nam is on, and he's about halfway through the track, so I believe we're going to have about 2 laps remaining here at Road America, but Aero Nam's been setting 159s for the past few laps now. So it's going to be right on the edge to see if we're going to edge out for a 3rd lap here.
Certainly will be, indeed, to see how close they are. On lap time, let's check in where Aero Nam actually is. He's just heading into the second to last corner now.
Yeah, it is going to be 2 laps.
It'll at minimum be 2 laps to go before we get a
White
number there. A white flag, thank you.
That last lap for Aero Nam, one of his faster laps, a 1:59.84. Not close to his fast lap of a 1:59 flat 6. Which is not the fastest lap of the race. Fastest lap of the race belongs to Caden Ben. And that is one damaged Mercedes that Aero Nam is just getting out of his way and cruising down Main Street right now into turn 5.
Just cruising, like you said at this point. He's really got nothing to need to push too hard at this point, at least for Aero Nam. He's just got to kind of get his way done through the end of this race and then smooth sailing all the way for him.
Ooh, is that there's a little puff of smoke in the carousel. Car may have gone off right there. Or may have had a little bit of connection issues as he's getting past another GTD car.
So as Aero Nam gets by the GTD car, and we'll head on to the front straightaway now. We'll see, is this going to be the white flag, or is he going to get another lap here?
It's going to be the white flag.
Yeah, I believe this is going to be the white this time.
Unless he turns into an F1 car and attaches a rocket engine into the back of it. But there's a minute left in the session. It's going to be white flag racing. One last lap here at Road America.
One more lap. This time by to go here in Road America.
Thanks, Race Control, for confirming it.
Thank you to Race Control for confirming it. Just like you said, because I would not have known the difference. But, nonetheless, white flag's out. Now where is Ian Gagnon Renault? He's going to take the white flag here in just a few moments. But all eyes here on Aero Nam, who would have had nearly a perfect season so far at this point. At least as perfect as he could have gotten it. This would be, if he can hold on here for the next few corners, 4 race wins. to his name and a championship. Double championships here for the Ricmotech Sports Car Series in the recent months. He just won the Sports Car Series a week ago. Actually, wrapped that up nearly 2 weeks ago, maybe even three. Maybe it was 3 weeks ago for him. Nonetheless, he won that championship. But he also wrapped up this championship after last round, and he is smooth sailing here to claim at this point his 4th race victory if he can hold on for the final few corners. Kane Bien, his closest rival to him, at 3 race wins. It was tied with him coming into the race. Some other notable mentions is William Laster with his 4 podiums, Mike Dan with 4 podiums, Andrew Caron with a win and 1 podium. But the most dominant driver in the league has to have been Aeronam. 4 race wins now as he comes out of the final corner. Aeronam claims his 4th victory of the season and and 3 podiums.
Sorry about that little cutoff, but Mike Dam has just got a drive-through penalty, but he can't do it because he's already past the pit lane.
So I wonder how that works then.
A penalty might be applied after the race to him.
Wouldn't be surprised if it is, but I wonder what kind of penalty we got for that.
In some certain cases, he might be disqualified if you pass the line while having a drive-through penalty. Because I think that's done something to our timing screen now, as you see Travis Schwenke to Mike Dam.
Yeah, that's been interesting. We're gonna have to figure this out here and what ends up going on. But at the final corner now, your winner in GTD, it's gonna be Ian Gagon Renault. He's gonna win here for the 6th consecutive win in the series. He's the most dominant driver in GTD and the most winningest driver in the first season of Ricmotech GT Challenge Accent. What a season for Ian Gagon Renault. The only one who was able to take him down was Brandon Misler for the first 2 rounds of the season. But other than that, it's been all eyes on Ian Gagon Renault. And he's won every race since then. What a race here this evening. This has just been an incredible final round.
It definitely has. Ian Gagnon Renault, my vote for the most dominant driver in this entire field.
Let's wait for everyone to cycle through here. And then race results are up on your screen. Take us through us, Austin.
Taking the win, it's Aeronam by a dominating win today ahead of Kane Bien. We'll see what happens to Mike Dam after the race from race control with that drive-through penalty being applied just at the very last corner. He's in P3, followed up by Travis Schwenke, Brian Cartier, Chris Thorman. Well, thank you, race control. Mike Dam gets a 40-second time penalty, but he maintains P3 to hold the podium on today. So Travis Schwenke finishes in 4, followed up by Brian Cartier, Chris Thorman, Rafael Sosa, Lovsky Diolio, George Fakey, and Jeff Jacobs with Edgar Sencielli in P11th. They're followed up by Bobby Giles, Michael Key, Arthur Chan, Russ Ruddick, Elvis Rankin, Devin Patton, Robert L. Hartley, and Raymond F. Badger in the GTLM. And taking the win in the GTDs is Ian Gagnon Renault, Brandon Whitworth in P13, followed up by Brendan Misler, Tyler Giametti, Chad Parker, Jack Wells, Eric Violet, Michael Hillard, Robert Brist, Tyler Shiflett, Derek Holland, and Lee Overton in 29th.
And that is it then for your race results. Thank you, Austin. We're just going to wait on the drivers to get in our interview room. But that was a very exciting final round of the championship. And we won't see these cars. We won't see any Ricmotech Series action until the new year. So for anyone who's interested in that, you're going to have to wait a little bit of time until you're going to be able to fill your need for that. Let's wait a few more moments here, and we should have some drivers start to trickle into the interview room.
Yeah, what a race we had today. Very eventful and just a lot of talking points. It wasn't as overtakingly challenging as we were thought, but very surprising on how many drivers successfully did a one-stop strategy. And we have our first interview with Brandon and Whitworth and Aeronam. Let's bring in the champion and the winner, Aeronam. Howdy, Arrow. How are you doing?
Bad.
Bad. Good? Bad?
Good.
Oh, good. I thought you said bad. It got me a little bit confused here.
I know I said tired.
Yes. I believe we're all a little bit tired, but what a win. Great way to finish out the championship. You already had the championship secured, and I'm guessing this is just your staple at the end of the season to get your fourth win and, just say, I'm the best.
Yeah, it was pretty difficult from the start. It was really hard to get away, so I worked really hard to get the 3-second gap to the pit stop. So yeah, that was went like planned. But after the pit stop, my route tires was so tired so that I had to change the driving style for the last part of the race to keep in front.
All right. I believe Tyler has a few questions for you as well.
Yeah, so Arrow, you had a really dominating victory tonight. We've seen that from a couple of different championships that you've been running in with the sports car series. Tell us about kind of the preparation that goes into one of these events. I know what you said for the sports car series. You're down to pretty much no practice for them. What does the preparation look like for one of these GT Challenge events?
Yeah, it's really difficult for me to personally. The setup I like is very personal, so there is no way I can find anywhere. So I have to do a lot of work on the setup, especially on the gearing. So it's not easy.
Certainly isn't easy, but you seem to get it right every single time here. And for the fourth time this season, you've taken home a victory and you've taken home 2 championships in a matter of 2 weeks here for the Ricmotech season. Congratulations on your championship. Who do you want to thank and who gets it done for you in that Team Bushfink team?
Yeah, like always, I like to thank first of all the drivers. I think today again perfect race. I think on my perspective. So and thank all the league admins to do the hard work here, all the sponsors and you guys in the booth there.
Thanks, Arrow. Congratulations again on another championship, and we hope to see you back next season.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
So that was Aeronam. Then your winner in your GTDs is going to be Ian Gagnon. Austin, standing by.
Howdy, Ian. How's that win?
Feel pretty good, man. Pretty good. I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah, he looked pretty happy when he crossed the line in a very dominating fashion, I must add. Good old gap to Brandon right behind you, and really didn't seem challenged at all today.
Yeah, well, it was coming close toward the end. I was pretty scared that he would eventually come to me, but managed to keep the tires alive. So yeah, pretty pleased with the pace. Pretty on challenge the whole race. So yeah, pretty good way to end this.
Yeah, definitely best way to end the season on a win and keeping that win streak alive. I say you are one of the most dominant drivers in this entire field, not only just in the GTD category, but including the GTLMs. You are up there as the most dominant driver I've ever seen.
Yeah, maybe I don't know yet. I'm maybe gonna jump to GTLM next season.
Ooh.
But I really love driving the GT3 cars. So maybe gonna get more challenge if I go GTLM, but I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna look at it and see if I make the jump next year's.
A little hype for 2020, I must say. Can it be 2020 already? Because I really want to see that.
Yeah, just next season. I think it's gonna start in January.
All right. Well, congrats on the win. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys for all the coverage, and I hope we'll see you guys next season. To F4H Racing, and also the guy that make the series is pretty nice series. And if we can make this continue to grow, that would be pretty.
All right. Thank you, Ian. Congrats on the championship. Congrats on the win and the pole. Just all out fantastic performance today. You have a great night.
Yeah, you two guys.
That was Ian Gagnon Renault. Next up, I believe, for Tyler is Kaden Bien.
Caden, second place here in the final round of the championship. It's got to be a little bit bittersweet for you, knowing that you did come home second place, but you did have another good result. I'm quite sure where that puts you in the championship. But yeah, kind of take us through that race from your perspective. What caused you really to not be able to catch Arrow there in the end?
Thanks. Pace. He was just quick, man. Like at the start, I was able to keep up with him for a few laps, but then I just made a couple of mistakes. Tires locked up, got a bit loose, and once he extended that gap out to about 2 seconds, he was able to just pull away and couldn't do anything about it. There were a couple laps where I was like, all right, I'm gonna focus to try to catch him, and the gap would just extend more. He's just insane.
Yeah, he certainly is a very good driver, and I think that that's something that you as a driver can really respect, is that he's just so quick and he makes for some great competition. But you were definitely quick, and for a little bit there at the end, it was looking like Mike Dam was starting to close in on you just that little bit towards the end. Were you struggling with tire wear, or did you just kind of have to fall off a little bit of pace there in the end?
Yeah, it just seemed like I was kind of running the same. I feel like Mike was the one who picked up the pace quite a bit, and unfortunately, I feel like he would have been right under my wing those last couple laps, but he got caught up behind traffic in a bad spot, and I was able to extend the gap back.
Well, nice job again here for you tonight in the finale. It's done for you and that RSRE team.
Thanks, guys.
That was Caden Bien. Now, Austin Knight standing by with Brandon Whitworth.
Howdy, Brennan. How was that race?
It's pretty good. I was actually a little surprised I was catching Ian at the end, but I guess the setup worked out for us.
Yeah, P2, and we were solid in the broadcast. A little bit too far back. This race is about, I don't know, 10 minutes longer. I believe you would have got up to him.
Yeah, maybe, if I didn't kill my tires too, so who knows?
Yeah, it was a very interesting tire strategy with a few people. You took 2 stops, right?
Nope, just one stop.
Correction, just 1 stop. That was my timing screen counting your in lap as a pit.
Yeah, it could be.
On that. Yeah, that's what caused that. So 1 stop strategy. Were you planning on just any tire fuel strategy throughout this race, or was it just push?
Well, I mean, I didn't want to push too hard in the beginning, so I was riding around with Shiflet there, and he made a little mistake, so I went ahead and went past him, but I wasn't going to fight him or anything because it was too early in the race to do that. And then toward the end, I started pushing pretty hard and catching Ian, so who knows? If I had a little more time, I might have caught him.
All right, well, P2 is something you'll probably be proud of, because you started at 4th place and moved up 2 spots, and hey, 13th overall, P2 in GTD. That's something not to frown about. I would be very happy about that.
Yeah, no, it was a good run.
All right. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my wife and daughter for putting up with all this, and my family for supporting me, and get a lot of support from the team, D2D Esports. Got to give a shout out to those guys. And of course, admins for putting this league together. It's a really good league.
All right. We certainly appreciate you taking your time and giving us some great driving a good old show out here today. So thank you. And you have a great night.
All right, thanks, guys. You too.
That was Brandon and Whitworth. And I believe we are done with interviews. We're going to bring it back with Tyler Maxson.
Yeah, so that will conclude coverage of the Ricmotech GT Challenge here from Road America for the final time in 2019. We'll say so long, and we'll see you again next time here on Apex Racing TV. Be sure to tune in for the next round of the Ricmotech GT Challenge and the next round of the Sports Car Series coming up in 2020. From all of us here at Apex Racing TV, we thank you for watching this production of the final round of the championship live from Road America. And we'll see you next time here, hopefully very soon.